Roberto Bautista Agut just won a point, and it's set point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially level the match at 1-all. Jakub Mensik serving this game. Jakub Mensik with a serve. Maybe just out another serve also on this point for Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, and it's an ace to save set point. Jakub Mensik with a serve, just hits the net. So second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point, and Jakub Mensik with a wide serve a bit on that, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with forehand return, just hits the net. So a point for Jakub Mensik rather to potentially hold this game on serve. Jakub Mensik with a serve bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut returns, and Jakub Mensik further forward strikes a forehand to the right, and it's a winner to hold that game on serve. Roberto Bautista Agut. Roberto Bautista Agut serving with a break in second set, and just won a point, so 15-love. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve to the centre, and then forehand to forehand, and then Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right with a bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut forehand turn, Jakub Mensik and forehand to the left for a bit on it. Then backhand from Roberto Bautista Agut, backhand slice bit on it from Jakub Mensik, then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand to the right, but just hits the net, so 15-all. Roberto Bautista Agut sends wide serve bit on it. Jakub Mensik return bit. Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to the right. Then Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the right with a bit on it, but just out. So 30-15. So Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve centre to wide, may have hit the top in there a bit, so another serve also for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. Roberto Bautista Agut. Point playing. Jakub Mensik just won a point, so 30-all. Roberto Bautista with centre to wide serve. Jakub Mensik. To the right, and Jakub Mensik a bit of backhand on it, but a bit on the forehand structure right for Bautista Agut. Bautista Agut with set point to potentially maybe level the match at 1-all. So set point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially level the match. Roberto Bautista Agut reverse centre to wide serve. Jakub Mensik backhand return, struck to the centre, a bit on it, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with forehand return hits the net. So that's set point saved for Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve wide just out. So second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre of the box serve. Jakub Mensik forehand return, forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik with a forehand to right with a bit on it. And Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to left, and Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to left with a bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut. Then Jakub Mensik with a forehand out to the left, forehand to left rather after that, but out. So another set point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially level the match, maybe at 1-all. Roberto Bautista Agut. Centre box there, a bit on it, and then forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik backhand slice to left, and then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand to left with a bit on it, and it's in. And that's game and second set. Roberto Bautista Agut 6-3, and the match is level at 1-all. So start of the third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut serving the first. Oh. Jakub Mensik. Just returning after a bit of a break, maybe. It's Jakub. It's actually Jakub Mensik with the two players playing the third and final set. It's Jakub Mensik that's actually serving the first game of the third and final set. Jakub Mensik with central serve just out. So second serve on this point. Jakub Mensik with a centre to wide serve. Then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand return to the right with a bit on it, but just out. So 15 love. Jakub Mensik with a serve to the centre out. So second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a centre of the box serve and then backhand to backhand, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes right to left a bit on it. Jakub Mensik backhand to right, and Roberto Bautista Agut then strikes a backhand right, stopping that over net. And Jakub Mensik further forward strikes a forehand to the right with a bit on it and then to the net, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with backhand passing shot to the right out. So 30 love. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve and then forehand to forehand. Jakub Mensik strikes one to right, bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut returns it, but then Jakub Mensik at the net with a backhand drop volley to the left by the net, and it's a winner. So 40 love. Jakub Mensik with a central serve on it. Roberto Bautista Agut for arm return, and Jakub Mensik then strikes a forehand to left or a bit on it, and it's a winner to hold serve in the first game of the third and final set of this one. So Roberto Bautista Agut serving. Jakub Mensik having held serve at the start of this third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut reserve. Jakub Mensik backhand turn beyond the centre. Roberto Bautista Agut was shot in backhand to backhand, but Jakub Mensik's backhand struck to left is just out. So 15 love. Jakub Mensik with a Roberto Bautista Agut with serve central bit on it, and forehands with a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to right with a bit on it, just a bit after that, with a bit on that forehand struck to the right from Roberto Bautista Agut. Then Jakub Mensik with a bit of an angle backhand to left returns, but just out, so 30 love. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, may have hit the top of the net a bit, so another serve also for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve and then forehand to forehand, and then Jakub Mensik backhand slice to left with a bit on it, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a forehand to the right just hits the net. So 30-15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre of the box serve, and then backhand to backhand, and Jakub Mensik backhand slice to left with a bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to left, and Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right with a bit on it, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with forehand after that just hits the net. After a bit on the forehand, struck to the right from Jakub Mensik, so 30-all. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central box serve, and Jakub Mensik with a backhand return to the left, just out. After a bit on that serve, so 40-30. Jakub Mensik with power on the serve and the ball striking. But Roberto Bautista Agut, an alright enough returner. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve. Then Jakub Mensik forehand return, Roberto Bautista Agut forehand, then backhand to backhand. Then Jakub Mensik forehand. Then Roberto Bautista Agut then with forehand to the right with a bit on it, but just out. Central serve, and it's an ace. So a point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially hold this service game and to have this third and final set on serve at the start of the third and final set, potentially, maybe. First ace of the match, Roberto Bautista Agut from serve. 9 for Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, a bit on it, and Jakub Mensik forehand return just out after a bit on a central serve from Roberto Bautista Agut. So on serve at the start of the third and final set of this one. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve just out. So second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. And Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, and then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand return angled to the left, just out, so 15-love. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, it's the top of the net, and then maybe just in, maybe just out, but another serve also anyway for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, a bit on that. So that's just out. So this is second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, bit of kick on it, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a backhand return just hits the net. So 30-love. Bit of kick on that second serve from Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, bit on that, but just out. So second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a serve, and then Roberto Bautista Agut forehand returns right. And Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to left bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut returns, and Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to right bit on it. And forehand slice from Roberto Bautista Agut, and then further forward, Jakub Mensik with forehand slice to the left just hits the net. So 30-15. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a Backhand return to the right, just out, so 40-15. Bit on the first serve, Jakub Mensik, and a bit of a kick on the second serve. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point, and Jakub Mensik with a serve to the centre of a bit on that, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a backhand return just hits the net. So one serve at the start of the third and final set of this one. All right, thank you. Thank you. So Roberto Bautista Agut serving on serve at the start of the third and final set of this one. Point playing, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a backhand to right a bit on it, and forehand to forehand. And Roberto Bautista Agut's forehand struck to right a bit on it, but just out, so love 15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve. And then maybe just out, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with another serve after that, and Jakub Mensik will return just out, so 15-all. Roberto Bautista Agut serving on serve at the start of the third and final set of this one. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve bit on that, and Jakub Mensik with a bit of backhand on it, but a bit of that central serve from Roberto Bautista Agut, so 30-15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve and a big kick on it. Jakub Mensik with forehand return, but then Roberto Bautista Agut third forward strikes forehand to the right of a bit on it, and it's a winner. So 40-15. Roberto Bautista Agut then the wide serve a bit on it, and Jakub Mensik with forehand return to the left, just out. So 2-all on serve in the third and final set of this one. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, but that may be just out. Another serve or so anyway on this point for Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, bit on it. Backhand return for Roberto Bautista Agut, but then further forward, Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the right, a bit angled, and it's a winner. So 15-love. Jakub Mensik with a serve just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. And Jakub Mensik with a serve centre to wide, then backhand to backhand, but a bit on the backhand, struck to the left on the return for Roberto Bautista Agut, then Jakub Mensik's backhand to the left after that just hits the net. So 15-all. Jakub Mensik with a central serve just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, bit on it. Roberto Bautista Agut forehand return, bit on it. Forehand, and backhand Roberto Bautista Agut. Backhand drop shots there from Jakub Mensik, but then Roberto Bautista Agut's onto it and strikes a forehand to the right with a bit on it, and then Jakub Mensik a bit of forehand on it, but a bit on the forehand stroke from Roberto Bautista Agut, so 15-30. Roberto Bautista Agut just won a point, so 15-40 and 2 break points for Roberto Bautista Agut in the third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve, just hits Jakub Mensik, wide serve, just hits net. Second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point, and Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, but Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand return to left with a bit on it, and it's a forehand return winner ace, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a break in the third and final set of this one. So Roberto Bautista Agut serve with break serve in the third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut wide serve bit on it, and then Jakub Mensik with forehand return just hits the net after a bit on the wide serve from Roberto Bautista Agut. So 15-love. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre to wide serve. Jakub Mensik backhand return to the right with a bit on it, and forehand to forehand. Roberto Bautista Agut, forehand to right, bit on Jakub Mensik, backhand slice centre to left, then backhand to the right. Roberto Bautista Agut, Jakub Mensik, backhand to the right, then forehand to forehand. And Jakub Mensik's forehand. And Jakub Mensik's forehand is just out, so 30 love. Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve. Just hits the net, so second serve on this point for Roberto Bautista Agut. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, just hits the net, so 30-15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve. Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand return bit on it. Forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik strikes one to left a bit on it and then to the net. Roberto Bautista Agut backhand return, and then Jakub Mensik with a backhand half volley hits the net. So 40-15. Point playing, and Jakub Mensik strikes a shot with a bit on it to the left, and it's a winner. So 40-30. Wow, slice shot from Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut return, but then Jakub Mensik then struck a forehand to the left after that with a bit on it, and then a winner with that. So 40-30. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve on it. Jakub Mensik forehand turn central on it. Then Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to right, backhand slice Jakub Mensik, backhand Roberto Bautista Agut, backhand slice left from Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut returns, another backhand slice from Jakub Mensik, another shot from Roberto Bautista Agut, another backhand slice from Jakub Mensik. Then a bit after that, Roberto Bautista Agut further forward strikes a forehand to the left with a bit on it, and then Jakub Mensik with forehand return just out. So Roberto Bautista Agut holds that service game to maintain the break in this third and final set. Point playing, and Jakub Mensik just won a point, so 15 love. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a central serve on it. Roberto Bautista Agut for one block return just out, so 30 love. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve, and it's an ace, so 40 love. Jakub Mensik with a centre of the box there. Roberto Bautista Agut turns him back on centre. Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut then strikes forehand to the right with a bit on it. But then Jakub Mensik then strikes a backhand to left with a bit on it after that, and it's a winner to hold that service game. So, Roberto Bautista Agut serving with a break in the third and final set, point playing. Backhand from Roberto Bautista Agut to left with a bit on it, but just out. So, love 15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve bit on it. Jakub Mensik for one return to centre. Roberto Bautista Agut then strikes one to right with bit on it. Jakub Mensik for one return. Roberto Bautista Agut then strikes one to left bit on it. And backhand to backhand. Roberto Bautista Agut backhand bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns shot centre. Roberto Bautista Agut with shot and forehand to one. Backhand slice from Jakub Mensik. Roberto Bautista Agut then strikes a bit of a forehand angle to the left with a bit on it. And it's a winner. So 15-all. So Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve, with a wide serve, and it's an ace, so 30-15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve, just hits the net, so second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre of the box serve, Jakub Mensik. Backhand slice serve, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes an angle, forehand to the right with a bit on it, and it's a winner, so 40-15. It's just out, so 30-all rather, just out, so 30-all. Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve. Jakub Mensik forehand serve, finds forehand. Jakub Mensik then strikes forehand to the right with a bit on it. And it's just out, so 40-30. Point playing, and Jakub Mensik backhand, and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a shot, forehand, and Jakub Mensik with a forehand, but the forehand for Roberto Bautista Agut just out. So Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve, and it's an ace. So a point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially hold this service game and potentially maintain the break in this third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve to the centre of the box, then forehand to forehand. Roberto Bautista Agut further forward, strikes forehand to right bit on him, and Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand, returns to right a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut's return shot after that to the left is just out. Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve a bit on it. Jakub Mensik returns and further forward. Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand to the right with a bit on it, and it's a winner. So a point for Roberto Bautista Agut to potentially hold this service game. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve, wide serve, bit on it. Jakub Mensik blocked return. Roberto Bautista Agut strikes one to right bit. Jakub Mensik forehand returns to the right and backhand to backhand shot to left. A bit on it from Jakub Mensik, and Roberto Bautista Agut a bit of forehand to it, but a bit on the backhand shot to left from Jakub Mensik to win that point. Having returned a forehand shot to right bit from Roberto Bautista Agut well, so Roberto Bautista Agut with a wide serve. Jakub Mensik strikes one return, just hits net, so a point potentially for Roberto Bautista Agut to hold this game on serve, maybe. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve to the centre, bit on it, and forehand to forehand. Then Jakub Mensik backhand to right, Roberto Bautista Agut backhand to left, and Jakub Mensik then strikes a backhand to left for a bit on it. Forehand from Roberto Bautista Agut, forehand drop shots right from Jakub Mensik, Roberto Bautista Agut onto it. With backhand slice to the right, with a bit on it. To the right, Jakub Mensik returns, but then Roberto Bautista Agut out of the net with a forehand volley, forehand drop volley to the left from just by net, and it's a winner for Roberto Bautista Agut rather to hold that service game and maintain the break in the third and final set. Jakub Mensik serving, and Jakub Mensik serving and just won a point. And then Roberto Bautista Agut just won the point after, so 15-all. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve on it, Roberto Bautista Agut a bit of line on it, but a bit on the wide serve from Jakub Mensik, so 30-15. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, and it's an ace, so 40-15. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve just out, so second serve on this point for Jakub Mensik. Jakub Mensik with a central serve on that. Block for return from Roberto Bautista Agut from the backhand, but then Jakub Mensik further forward with a forehand drive volley to the left, and it's a winner to hold that service game. So Roberto Bautista Agut serving 5-4 with a breaker serve in the third and final set. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve to the centre, just hits Roberto Bautista Agut's Roberto Bautista Agut with a second serve. Jakub Mensik returns and forehand a bit after that. When Jakub Mensik forehand and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes forehand to the right, belt. Jakub Mensik backhand returns centre. Roberto Bautista Agut returns a forehand strikes to the left, belt. Jakub Mensik returns and slice shots from the two players. And Jakub Mensik over there and a backhand passing shot, bit angled to the right from Roberto Bautista Agut is just out. So love 15. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve. Jakub Mensik forehand turn centre. Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to left rebellion. Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right rebellion. Roberto Bautista Agut strikes forehand to the right rebellion. Jakub Mensik backhand slice down. Backhand Roberto Bautista Agut. Backhand slice Jakub Mensik. Backhand slice Roberto Bautista Agut. No, backhand slice Jakub Mensik. Backhand to backhand forehand Bautista Agut. Mensik returns and Roberto Bautista Agut backhand to the left rebellion. Jakub Mensik returns and a bit after that. Backhand Roberto Bautista Agut centre. Jakub Mensik returns to the shot centre. Roberto Bautista Agut shot. Backhand slice from Jakub Mensik. And then forward to it. Roberto Bautista Agut with backhand slice just hits the net. So love 30. Point playing and Jakub Mensik strikes the forehand to left and then Roberto Bautista Agut with a angled backhand to the right, but it's just out and it's 3 break points for Jakub Mensik to maybe have this third and final set on serve. Love 40 on this Roberto Bautista Agut service game. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre of the box, a bit on it. Jakub Mensik backhand return just hits the net, so 15-40. Roberto Bautista Agut with a centre of the box, a bit on it. Jakub Mensik backhand return. Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand to the left with a bit on it, and it's a winner, so 30-40. So Roberto Bautista Agut with a central of the box serve just hits net. So second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. And Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve to the centre box, and Jakub Mensik strikes for arm return centre behind it. Roberto Bautista Agut returns. Jakub Mensik then strikes a forehand to the left with a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut with backhand return just hits the net, and Jakub Mensik with a break in the third and final set on return, and the third and final set is on serve at 5-all. and an 8. Okay. Let's go, Jakub. Come back, please. And come back, Jakub. Let's go. Yeah, yes. On the match, Roberto Bautista Agut just won a point, so 15-all. Jakub Mensik with a wide serve just out, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a central box serve and then forehand to forehand, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a backhand to the right and then backhand return from Jakub Mensik, and then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a forehand to the right with a bit on that, and it's a winner, so 15-30. Jakub Mensik with a serve just hits the net, so second serve for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, may have hit the top of the net a bit, so another serve also for Jakub Mensik on this point. Jakub Mensik with a serve just hits the net, so it's 15-40 and 2 break points for Roberto Bautista Agut. Jakub Mensik with a central serve, on that, Roberto Bautista Agut backhand return central bonnet, backhand to backhand, and Jakub Mensik backhand to the central bonnet, and then Roberto Bautista Agut strikes one to right with bonnet. Jakub Mensik backhand turn, backhand drop shots there from Roberto Bautista Agut. Jakub Mensik onto it, strikes forehand to the right with a bit on it, but it's just out, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a break in this third and final set. So it's Roberto Bautista Agut with the break in the third and final set. And serving this next game, Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve just hits the net, so second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, and Jakub Mensik strikes forehand, return a bit on it, then forehand a bit on it from Roberto Bautista Agut, then Jakub Mensik strikes a forehand to the right, but it's just out, so 15 love. Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve, just hits the net, so second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve on it, forehand, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes forehand to the right bit on it, Jakub Mensik forehand, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes forehand to the left for a bit on it, Jakub Mensik backhand side turn, and Roberto Bautista Agut strikes forehand to the right bit on it, Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the left for a bit on it, forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik's forehand to the right for a bit on it, and backhand to backhand, backhand drop shots left from Jakub Mensik with a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut onto it with a forehand slice, but just hits the net, so 15 all. Well, ball striking a forehand, backhand to backhand, and then Jakub Mensik with backhand drop shot to left with a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut too with a forehand side shot, but just hit the net, so 15 all. So Roberto Bautista Agut with a serve, wide serve, just out, so second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, bit on it, Jakub Mensik backhand turn, central bit on it, and forehand to forehand a bit on the serve from Jakub Mensik, and then Roberto Bautista Agut turns, and backhand Jakub Mensik, and backhand slice to backhand slice, and backhand slice to backhand slice, backhand slice on the right, to the right rather, from Jakub Mensik with a bit on it, and Roberto Bautista Agut with a backhand, just hits the net, so 15-30. What amount of backhand to backhand and backhand slice to backhand slice in that point. Slice backhand's a bit in points, Jakub Mensik, as well as the power on the ball striking and serving. Roberto Bautista Agut with the serve, and it's a wide serve, and it's just out. So second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central of the box serve, just out. So maybe the serve just pre that may have just hit top net a bit. So this is second serve for Roberto Bautista Agut on this point. 15-30. Roberto Bautista Agut with a central serve, and then forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik forehand struck to the right, a bit on it, Roberto Bautista Agut backhand side turn, further forward, Jakub Mensik forehand to the right, and Roberto Bautista Agut backhand to left with a bit on it, and forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik forehand to the left, and then Roberto Bautista Agut forehand to the right, a bit on it, forehand to forehand, and Jakub Mensik strikes forehand to the right, a bit on it, Roberto Bautista Agut backhand side turn, and Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to left, bit on it, Roberto Bautista Agut returns a bit on it, backhand to backhand, and Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the left, and it just hits the net, so 30 all. Roberto Bautista Agut serve, Jakub Mensik forehand turn. Roberto Bautista Agut strikes a shot with a bit on it, and Jakub Mensik strikes a backhand to the right, just out, so it's 40-30, and it's match point for Roberto Bautista Agut. So Roberto Bautista Agut just won a point, and that's game, set, and match. Roberto Bautista Agut by 2-1, 3-6, 6-3, 7-5 to Roberto Bautista Agut, and it's Roberto Bautista Agut that wins this one.